Are we live? Good evening. Welcome to tonight's regular town board meeting, Wednesday, July 13th, 2022. And it's 6:30 p.m. Before we get into business tonight, we will be going to the executive session early and we'll announce that shortly. But in the meantime, please silence your cell phone and also note there's two emergency exits in the back of the room and one up front. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. John, you want to lead us? Yes.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic that stands one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. Remember those who are serving in harm's way. Thank you. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on any of the agenda items prior to the meeting? Sign up sheet something, okay. And at this time, I am looking for a motion to enter a brief executive session at the request of our attorney. The purpose of the session will be to discuss the proposed acquisition of real property rights where publication of the details could affect negotiations and also to obtain legal advice from counsel on a separate issue.
I'm sorry.
It's our intention to reconvene after the meeting is over.
I moved to enter executive session for the reasons set forth by the supervisor.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
There's nothing like that.
Yeah, I think so. I think I'll. All right, we made a motion to adjourn the executive session at 6:44. I did, seconded by, I think it was Mr. Bacallo. And I make a motion to reconvene.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Number 3, Counselor White.
Approval of abstracts. Move for the adoption of a resolution approving abstract numbers 25 dated 6/21/22 and number 26 dated 6/27/22.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, I'm not used to seeing this as number 3 on the agenda.
All in favor?
Aye.
Wish to vote no or abstain, passed.
Budget modifications and transfers. The Cicero Town Board approves the budget modifications as presented.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Wish to vote no or abstain, passed.
Move the adoption resolution approving Bush Electronics to upfit a 2021 Dodge Durango police vehicle at a cost of $13,130 paid for with stop DWI funds.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Wish to vote no or abstain, passed.
Move the adoption of resolution approving Bush Electronics to upfit a 2021 Dodge Charger police vehicle at a cost of $4,485, budget code B312042.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Wish to vote no or abstain? Passed.
Move the adoption resolution accepting a $4,913 donation from Abundant Life Christian Center to be used to purchase 2 body worn cameras and accessories placed in budget line B3120.56.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Wish to vote no or abstain? Passed.
Move the adoption resolution approving the purchase of 2 body worn cameras and accessories from Motorola Solutions at a cost of $4,913, budget code B3120.56.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Wish to vote no or abstain? Passed.
Move for the adoption of a resolution approving the Cicero Police Department's vehicle maintenance bill of $2,974.27 for the month of June 2022, budget code B312042.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Move for adoption of resolution to declare the following items as surplus and of no use to the town of Cicero. The items will be auctioned through Auctions International. 2013 Chevy Impala, VIN number 2G1WG5E35D1185302, and 2016 Ford Taurus, VIN number 1FAHP2MK0GG119423.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Wish to vote no or abstain? Passed.
Move the adoption resolution approving the hiring of John Baldini as a part-time Cicero police officer, a starting pay rate of $35.10 per hour, effective July 17th, 2022.
Second.
Discussion.
But just note the former Sergeant Baldini is a retiree from the Cicero Police Department, so we're welcoming him back.
Discussion. Any more? Vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Wish to vote no or abstain? Passed.
Move for the adoption of a resolution approving Aqua Project number 9004094, application agreement calling for the installation of fire hydrants numbers 15178 and 15179 at the Dunn Tire on Stewart Drive, tax map 057.02-29.4. The project is shown and referred to as map file number 1668. According to the agreement, Aqua will install 2 hydrants at the site as called for in the owner's development plan at the owner's sole expense. The town will be notified when the installation is complete, and thereafter the Hancock Air Park Water District will be billed an annual hydrant maintenance expense, which is currently $76.74 per hydrant.
Second.
Discussion. I'd like to bring up a couple things on this topic here. And talk in reference to a couple fire departments out there, and they now have quick disconnects going on the fire hydrants and the hydrant markers. So we'd like to look into down the road into these pieces of equipment to make the fire departments a lot easier to hook up and for the fire departments to see the fire hydrants in the wintertime. So we'll talk about that at a later date. Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any wish to vote no or abstain? Passed.
Standard workdays for elected officials. Be it resolved that the town of Cicero, location code 30220, hereby establish the following standard workdays for the titles listed below and will report the officials to the New York State and local retirement based on their record of activities. See attached schedule. Do I need to read the whole schedule?
No,
No, I don't think so.
you can just note that the schedules.
Note the schedule is in the minutes.
Mr. Jermaine, do I need to abstain since I'm on this?
I think we're all on it. I think it's just.
Yes.
Not every, okay. We're not all on it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any
Did you
wish
have
to
a
vote
second?
no? You
Did you
get
have a
it? Did you second? You get a second.
Second.
Oh,
All of, yeah, all in favor?
aye.
Wish to vote no or abstain?
I abstain.
Move for the adoption of resolution approving the hiring of seasonal staff members for the Parks Department to fulfill part-time seasonal summer positions. Alex Van Tassel, rec attendant, $14 an hour. Starting date is 7/14/22. Krista Feeney, tennis assistant, recreation attendant, $13.50, starting at 8/1/22.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Wish to vote no or abstain? Passed.
Hiring a full-time mechanic at the Cicero Highway Department. Move for the adoption of a resolution approving the hiring of Sean Shippers as a full-time heavy equipment mechanic at a starting pay rate of $27.34 per hour, effective July 14, 2022.
Second.
Discussion, Chris, on this gentleman, I talked to you earlier about this. We have a mechanic currently out right now. Can you tell us what the process is going to be until that guy comes out back? Perfect. Thank you. Anyone else? All in favor?
Aye.
Wish to vote no or abstain? Passed.
Bobcat attachment for off-road drainage maintenance. Move for the adoption of a resolution approving the purchase of a 40-inch flail mower with hoses, mounting cap, and drain kit from Clark Equipment Company, DBA Bobcat Company, in the amount of $11,249.36. Budget code SD 854040400. County contract number PC 69396.
Second.
Discussion?
Is this the thing you mentioned to us a couple meetings ago?
I showed you a video of it.
Is that it? Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Wish to vote no or abstain? Passed.
Diesel fuel purchase. Move for the adoption of a resolution approving the expenditure of $27,000 for diesel fuel from Buell Fuel. Budget code DB 514040.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Wish to vote no or abstain? Passed. Move for the adoption of resolution accepting $1,500 donation from Clark Equipment Rental, which is to be used as a sponsorship for the summer concert series put on by the Parks Department, placed in budget line A 79894.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Wish to vote no or abstain? Passed.
Move for the adoption of a resolution awarding the Riverfront Park Improvements Project to Davis Walbridge Incorporated, the low bidder, in the amount of $280,605. 3 other bids were received. The town received approval from New York State DOT to award the project to Davis Walbridge Inc. This is being funded by $94,215 from the Schumer grant and $180,000 from Onondaga County grant. The $6,390 shortfall will be covered by money in the Economic Development Budget Code A 69894.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Wish to vote no or abstain? Passed.
Agreement with CNS Engineering for the design of Route 11 Streetscapes Project in Brewerton. Move the adoption resolution approving an agreement with CNS Engineers in the amount of $494,000 for design and construction support services for the Route 11 Streetscape Project. This contract is being funded by the New York State DOS grant executed in 2019, for which the town has a $131,250 match. This match must come from the budget item. ARPA funds may not be used.
Second.
Discussion?
This is a DOT grant, not a Department of State grant, correct? Is it Department of State? That's weird. Okay, thanks. Clarifying it.
Anyone else? All in favor? Wish to vote no or abstain? Passed.
Edwards Weaver VFW Post 7290 donation request. Move the adoption of resolution approving $320 donation to the Edwards Weaver VFW Post 7290 to cover the cost for four 4x6 American flags.
Second.
Discussion?
Mr. Jermaine, is there a statutory exception to the rule against gifting for the VFW?
There is
Okay, thank you.
one of the qualifying groups.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Wish to vote no or abstain? Passed.
Updated intermunicipal exemption agreement with Onondaga County regarding GML 239 referral notifications to Onondaga County Planning Board. Move for the adoption of a resolution approving the updated agreement that reflects updates to General Municipal Law 239 and expands the list of actions to be fully exempt from County Planning Board review.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Wish to vote no or abstain? Passed. We have the next agenda item is for the Lakeshore presentation by CHA Companies of Lakeshore Village Project. Good evening, gentlemen.
Make sure your mic's on.
I have some pictures, I believe, up here for you.
Guy, can just click the button on it. Yeah.
And if you
You
want,
can use either one.
if you want me to scroll down, just let me know where you want to go.
Okay.
This will be a brief presentation,
Yeah, we'll keep it to 45 minutes or less.
15 minutes.
Just teasing you. Good evening, everybody. My name is Guy Hart Jr. I'm the managing partner of the Hart Lyman Companies. We're a Syracuse-based real estate development company with plans for development on the shore of Oneida Lake at the current location of Lakeshore Yacht and Country Club in Cicero. I'm just going to give you a brief rundown on Hart Lyman, our professionals, and a general idea on the vision for our project here at Lakeshore Village, and then take any questions you might have and get out of your way. Our group has been developing in central New York since about 5 years before I was born in the late 1960s. I've been involved in our business since about 2000. I was kind of trying to do a quick tally. We've owned or developed over $200 million worth of real estate in the county. In the last 10 or 15 years, a lot of our business went out of town. We did development projects down in, as far as Miami Metro, Charlotte Metro, parts of Florida and the Carolinas. We've only really in the last few years come back into the Syracuse market. We see a lot of growth here, and we see especially a lot of opportunity for new urbanistic type growth in the northern suburbs, especially given some of the coming growth that's going to happen here in the next 5 to 10 years. Just a quick rundown on our capabilities. Our company has done larger scale projects in major metro areas all over the country. None of the projects here at this site far exceed anything we've done anywhere else. So we feel equipped and ready. At the same time, we have private equity partners. We've been as far away as Dubai to talk to private equity partners about this project who are vying to be able to invest in it. So we feel confident in our ability to execute on it and finish it. A few quick highlights on this project that I know has begged questions from everybody involved since we started. Things like getting those waterways up into the back end of where the current golf course is. We've priced that. We've built that into the cost of the project, and we know that that can fit the budget of the project. We know that a bridge built to town standard across Lakeshore Road with a rise that allows boats to go underneath it can be borne by the cost of the project. So we have spent a tremendous amount of time and money at looking at what we can do here. And we've hired really what we believe to be the A-list of companies that we've worked with. We've got CHA is a national engineering firm. They have experience right here in central New York with the Fisher Bay project. We're about to start phase 2 of that project. That was an Army Corps of Engineer project. They had residential units with cutout waterfront, much like this project. And so none of what we're doing, even though the scale of it is large, none of what we're doing is new to these guys. They have, I think, how many offices nationwide? Over 40 offices nationwide. So they're dipping into a national, apparatus, and they've done projects like this. Locally, we decided to hire QPK Architects. Mike O'Shea, the managing partner of QPK, is not here tonight. He will be at future meetings. Mike's firm, in our view, is by far and away probably the only local firm and best equipped local firm, and probably the best equipped firm to us from Buffalo to Albany to be able to handle a project like this. They master planned the Inner Harbor in Syracuse. They did the State Fair Expo Center. They did the amphitheater. They know how to not only design projects around traffic, they know how to design projects that have major impact on the community in a positive way. So to us, it was a no-brainer to hire them. So those are just a few of the basic elements of who we brought into this project. A reassurance that we have spent a huge amount of time and money on this project. We also, and actually I'm looking at a plan. I know that we have a newer version of this plan. We have a plan to redevelop the entire golf course to the south. while I know that everybody's first priority might not be making sure we preserve a private club for a bunch of people, we actually are planning to preserve a private club. Tomorrow, we will be announcing with Troon Golf, the largest golf course management company in the world, that we've hired a new veteran general manager that is going to help steer us through this process with Troon for the next 5 to 10 years. So she starts with us on July 30th. So we have a commitment to continuing the private club element. However, our vision is to, I read this thing here at the back of your wall before I got up, and it said something interesting. I'm going to quickly read this to you. It was funny. I just caught it. It said, "It's unfortunately that many of the old buildings and landmarks are gone, but it's been a thriving 169 years since its formation in 1807. Cicero's history is not forgotten, certainly not without color." I was born and raised in this community. The lakefront, South Bay Road, was literally the trolley line from Syracuse that led to what was the center of activity on this lake coming from the Syracuse area. That was the vision. That is the vision that we are grabbing a hold of. We are 12 minutes from Syracuse International Airport. We're 19 minutes from downtown Syracuse. We want to create a village center in the largest town in the county that doesn't have one at all. We want to recreate that, and not as a private club, but as a place that everybody can go and enjoy. There'll be market rate housing. There will be luxury housing on the waterfront. There will be luxury and market rate residential single housing units. Yesterday, the town of Manlius announced that they're building a 47-acre, 300 luxury unit, 70,000 square foot world-class movie theater project in Manlius. We had a chance to buy that piece of real estate and we passed on it. We're looking at projects in Clay. This is our number one legacy project, because we see the northern suburbs, what's coming to the northern suburbs, what's currently happening in the northern suburbs. And we see this is the place to build the legacy project that defines the county going into the rest of the 21st century. So that's why we're here. We have every intention of listening, making this plan better, but of executing on something that we think is really going to be visionary for the town, and doing it with an engineering firm and an architecture firm that's going to be thinking about how to have it be fit with the community that's here. So that's our kind of quick introduction. Here's Brian Bouchard from CHA.
Thank you. Thank you. I think you can hear me. So that was a good overview, and what I'd like to do is take you through sort of the project specifics. If you want to start on the first page again, procedurally, what we're asking for is our intent to apply for a zone change to a planned unit development. The first step in this process, although not required, is to present to the town board with the intent so that we can obviously gain your feedback and use that throughout the course of the application process. To take you through the specifics of the layout in more detail, the current golf course property, both north and south of Lakeshore Road, is 150 acres. And obviously, the main feature of this is almost a quarter mile of Oneida Lake shoreline. The project will be built in various phases and has different components that we've shown on this map. The shoreline currently, we're calling this the point, this project component here. Just to the east or planned north here of the existing marina is the harbor. And then the third component on the north side of Lakeshore is the village area. And then we have the residential area to the south side. So I'll take you through those very quickly. If you want to scroll down again, this is just a perspective view. So we'll start with the point. If you go one more. So the point is essentially the area that's currently comprised of the clubhouse, parking area, and pool area. And this would be redeveloped into various waterfront areas along the shoreline here. So we have a new clubhouse building along with a lodging facility. There's a condo facility along with various areas along the shoreline that include outdoor seating, outdoor dining, in the pool area. Directly adjacent to it, which is right along the existing inlet to the marina, there would be a pedestrian promenade with a boardwalk that leads out to various boat slips and boat parking areas for the marina access from the lake. This would also include surface parking to support obviously these facilities. So surface parking and a proposed parking garage with enough parking to support the entire point portion of the project. The second component of the project, if you want to scroll down one more, focusing in on where the existing marina comes in, this marina would be expanded. This is going to be called the harbor component and consists of 3 mixed-use buildings. The vision here is that this would be mixed-use buildings with retail and restaurants and outdoor dining on the first floor, and then apartments on the upper floors. It's 3 buildings. It would have an outdoor patio, outdoor dining and activity areas, and this would be an extension of the pedestrian promenade from the boat slips along the marina area. And right in the center, we would have a pedestrian bridge that connects the adjacent component of the project on the west side of that marina. That component is called the village. If you want to scroll down one more slide. So again, here we're coming across this pedestrian bridge. So the village area would be between the expanded marina and the shoreline. You can see South Bay Road kind of off to the side of the page here. This would have separate access off of Lakeshore Road and consists of 5 buildings, largely the same. It would be a mixed use component where we'd have a variety of retail and restaurant and entertainment spaces on the first floors, and the upper floors would consist of the residential units. This also contains various green spaces that could be used for, events or shops or craft fairs, and also a park that's centered between these 2 mixed-use buildings facing directly out to the lake. Along the lake, there would be an extension of that, what we're calling the Lakeshore Concourse, which is an extension of the pedestrian promenade, along with another bridge that connects this village area to the point where the hotel and amenity spaces are over there. We have a variety of renderings that QPK is prepared to give you a perspective on what the vision of the project is. So essentially, this is from the area of Lakeshore Road looking into the harbor. So on the right-hand side of the page, you'd see those mixed-use buildings that we're calling the harbor area. And then we have the village area on the left-hand side with that pedestrian bridge crossing. And in the background is the hotel, clubhouse, and condo area. You scroll down one more. This is a view from the harbor. So this is essentially the inlet to the marina. You could see kind of a variety of the mixed use, and this gives you a perspective of what that pedestrian activity would look like with respect to the promenade and the connections that we have there with the mixed use buildings along the marina in the background. Next slide, if you could. This gives you another perspective of the harbor. So we have kind of the shoreline and the marina off to the right-hand side of the page with the mixed-use buildings that show kind of the outdoor dining and seating along with that pedestrian promenade that we're planning there. Next slide. This is in the village. So this is the village area, the component that we talked about right off of Lakeshore Road. And this gives you an idea of what we could do both with sort of the streetscape and sort of the activity that we have for things like fairs and craft events and things like that to really make this kind of a village-like setting. I believe we have one more that shows potentially. There should be, there might be one in your packet. The other one just showed more of a graphic of what the storefronts would look like. Yeah, right there. There we go. The village storefront. So this is one of the mixed use buildings where you can see sort of that retail and pedestrian activity level on the first floor, and then the upper floors, which would be the residential apartments. And if you could go back to the very first page, this was an explanation of sort of all those project components on the north side, which is really that mixed use component. On the south side of Lakeshore Road would be an extension of sort of this, the inland water access to these residential properties. There's approximately 140 single family residential properties of various sizes. They go from quarter acre to half acre to 3 acre lots. There's also about 40 or 50 townhomes. And then there's an apartment building component right along Lakeshore Road. So it kind of steps back into the property, and the south side being all residential along with the apartments there. So as we go through this process, as I said, we're here to introduce the project. We understand and have already initiated, as Guy mentioned, the the long process that's ahead in terms of documenting this project, the permitting, right? We've talked with both Onondaga County DOT and New York State DOT. We've given them the plans of this project. They've provided us already with a detailed scope of a traffic study that not only includes this area, but the scope extends all the way down South Bay to 31, all the way down Lakeshore to 31, and the various intersections that could be impacted as people approach this project from various ways. We've actually completed that traffic study. That traffic study's been submitted to the agencies already, knowing that that's going to be one of the greatest concerns that we have, not only for this development, but other development that's planned within the Route 31 corridor. Obviously, we have experience with New York State DEC and the Army Corps of Engineer related to the marine excavation and the expansion in the wetlands that are present on site and need to be avoided. Guys have been very adamant about water quality because of the proximity to the lake and the watershed that we have. Making sure that things like stormwater management, drainage, and the stormwater controls for the project are exceeded based on the local and state regulations. And then all the other components that we obviously will engage the planning board with in terms of, site landscaping, lighting, public utilities, public roads, sewer capacity, all of these issues we're prepared to address. So again, this is our preliminary discussion with the board, and the intent is to gain your feedback in order to make the formal application for the PUD process to continue along with our application. So I think with that, unless you got something to add.
Yeah, the only thing I'd add, if there's anything you're thinking you haven't seen elevation wise, we are staying generic with our buildings on the point that will continue to evolve through this process. The point buildings, the placement of condominiums, for example, on the east side of the point buildings, were done with a lot of thought. We're transitioning into a residential neighborhood to our east. So we have to make sure that as you come to the east, you're quieter and you're more residential, and you go to your west and you go the other direction in the project, you're moving into the village. And so there's a lot of those things that we've taken into consideration, and those building elevations will continue to evolve, but our plan is to have something dramatic. And our expectation is to be putting something that this region probably hasn't seen. And that's our intent. I just wanted to bring that up as far as the point was concerned.
So appreciate you coming in tonight. I know the board's going to have several questions for you. One of the ones is that I'm going to ask them. I have a few of them. The secured fundings. Are there any secured fundings out there right now that you have, if I may ask?
So taking you back to a statement I made earlier having to do with other projects that we've done. And really, I think our track record is what you have to look at. So you have to say, are you able to develop this real estate? So the way this project will work, 1 and 2 building increments will be individual subdivided lots within the project, and those will be financed individually, right? So for example, I have a $35 million project in Miami-Dade Metro that we developed with our credit ourselves, with our raised equity. We currently, without getting into too proprietary into what Hart Lyman has got going, we've got over $20 million in private equity currently at work in other projects. We have regularly had 9 figures in credit debt with lenders. We have lender relationships that enable our company, without any third-party partners at all, to go out and do a construction loan for an individual project of about that size, $30 to $40 million, right? So each aspect of this project is mostly roughly that size or smaller, with the exception of the point, which would be more. That's gonna have a hotel partner component. I can't disclose the names of any of those people yet, because if I do it, it would potentially scuttle the opportunity,
Okay.
right?
I'm not asking for
But
that.
yeah, that's without going into too much of a diatribe. So yeah, we have funding capabilities, and I'd be happy to give the town access to, like, for example, Valley Bank is one of our current lenders that I'd be happy to give you as a reference. You could talk to the people at Valley and say, these guys capable of doing
And
this.
do
kind
you
of
think
project.
this project's sustainable without the chip fab coming?
So we came into this project, if a lot of people here, and I see some familiar faces in the crowd, we bought Lakeshore back in the end of 2017, I think it was, right? I'm looking at you. End of 2017. And we bought it as a real estate play. And I've said this to the members at Lakeshore 100 times. They say, are you going to get rid of our golf course? It's going to be the end of Lakeshore. And I said, luckily, I think as a component of the whole project, a private country club is a good component, because if it wasn't, then the answer would be no. Because at a level like this, you can't let sentimentality drive your decisions, right? Now, also, luckily, this isn't a great site to build a Walmart supercenter. It's a great site to build a village, a quaint village on the shores of Oneida Lake, right? Luckily. And so I'm not in here asking you to do something crazy. So the answer is, without the chip fab, we were intending on doing this project. I think the time it will take to finish the project, especially the secondary part, the residential component to the south, I think that will take longer, 7 to 10 year in total development timeline with no chip fab. Other deals besides this that we are currently working on, that we're putting a ton of time and effort in, are contingent on the chip fab. And I'm working very hard on those because I'm confident that there will be a chip fab deal. And that makes me even more excited about this project. But this project, we started working on this independent of the chip fab.
Have you talked to the county or county legislators about this project?
Yes, I have. I've spent a lot of time with the county executive. I've told the county executive that, we've talked very much about, and he actually pointed out astutely to me that from the village of Fayetteville, and I won't say what he said about the village of Fayetteville because he doesn't want to get in trouble, but we commented that it might not have been the most amazing village in America. From the village of Fayetteville, you have to go all the way to Baldwinsville before you get to another village. You can go around the city, obviously, but there's not a village of DeWitt. There's not a really good village in Clay. There's kind of that little Euclid area, right? You go all the way down 30 and you get all the way to Baldwinsville. He in his State of the County address last year said, other than COVID, the biggest challenge that this county has, and the thing that makes people talk good about Monroe County and Albany County and Erie County and even Broome County, is that they have more vibrant villages, and he wants to change that. So when I walked in his office, the first time I ever showed him this, he said, you're showing me a village. And we have another project that's about 20, 30 minutes from here that's going to be another village center project that is going to meet that need too. This is what people want. Nobody wakes up in the morning, and I'm looking at Councilor White right now, wakes up in the morning and says, oh, I want to do today? I want to go to Wegmans and just fight the traffic. And they don't do that. But the idea of going to Skinny Atlas this right time of year during, or Christmas season or a nice summer day, that's something that's appealing even to us guys on some level. And that's what we're trying to create here. And so the county executive was very excited about it. I also met with our legislator, also loved it. I also have spent some time with our assemblymen, state senators. I think we may have a new state senator in this district. Met with her. I met with our governor, which not everybody loves, but I've spent a lot of time talking to our governor about this. Senator Schumer was here. Again, not everybody might like Senator Schumer, but I'll say this, I'm a Republican, but Senator Schumer wants to do good things for upstate New York. He cares about that. He does. He is a pork barrel senator, and that's good for us. And he was at Lakeshore, and he was talking about Lakeshore Village 3 weeks ago. So I'm talking to everybody I can, saying this community needs this, and Central New York needs this. When you talk to a Chuck Schumer, you say Central New York needs this, not just Cicero,
And have you talked to any of the neighbors around there about your project?
Yeah, I have. And there has been trepidation from some people and support from others. I'm sure that there will be people that are going to come out and tell me that they are against this. I am also sure that their property values are going to go up significantly as a result of this project. I'm sure of that. I'm so sure of it that any of them who wanted to sell me their property, I'd buy it from them now. But somebody's going to say back to me astutely, they're going to say, I don't want to move. I'm going to say, well, then you're going to have a beautiful village across the street from your house. And it's going to be wonderful for you and for your family. And when people come in from out of town, they can stay in the hotel or at one of the casitas on the property. And you have a place to put your boat that's affordable, and you'll have a place to eat, and you'll have a little grocery shopping you can walk to, and so on and so forth. We live in a world where people say no without analyzing things. I've been dealing with it all my life. Sometimes I've been wrong. This time I'm not.
So how about a commitment from DEC or the Barge Canal Corporation? What kind of talks have you been in with them? Because if they're not on board with allowing you to dig these areas out and spaces out, then this project here is probably null and void, at least part of it.
So I'll let Brian address that on some level, but I will tell you that in Bridgeport, where we're doing the second phase of that development, the DEC was very positive about that, and they are generally very positive about adding waterway. I will also tell you that I've talked to our state assemblyman about the Barge Canal Corporation and the DEC contributing earmarks to enhancements to a local public pier at the site, like they have in the town of Sullivan, like they got money for at Sylvan Beach, like they have on the North Shore, like they have in Brewerton and in Oswego County.
And in terms of so what it would actually be is a joint application through the Army Corps of Engineers and the DEC. A lot of it deals more with the existing wetlands that we have identified on site and disturbances and mitigation that would deal with those existing wetlands that are jurisdictional. When you picture the excavation of the extension of the marina and the waterways, a lot of this occurs on dry land, and you essentially leave a plug where the existing marina is. And that's how we dealt with that within the Fisher Bay Marina expansion, where it's excavated in the dry. So it's not dredging or excavation within the waters of the United States, which Oneida Lake is, because it's a navigable waterway. But there will be a permit coordination, and that'll be part of our agency coordination that we can work through as part of the application process.
But just to add, this is not only nothing new for CHA, it's not even something new for CHA within 7 or 8 miles of where we're standing.
And my
Stay the
last
same.
question is, are you looking for a pilot for this program from the town?
Yes. And the first time I met with you all, I said, yes, I will definitely be asking for a pilot. And the reason I say that with such vehemence is we are going to be creating hundreds of jobs at this site. We are going to be bringing back a component of to this area that existed 100 years ago and was never meant to go away. It wasn't meant to have an exclusive private club that only people who pay to go there should be allowed to use. That wasn't what it was. It wasn't what it was when the Ocean House got built. It wasn't what it was when the hotels were all here, when the Anglers Club was here. And it's not what our vision of it is for the future. So we intend on bringing benefit to the community by way of a 4.5-star hotel. It'll be equal to or better than any hotel in central New York. And when I say equal or better, Turning Stone level, the lodge level hotel. So, and we're talking about shop space. We're obviously not talking about vape shops. We're talking about, I can tell you right now that one of the marquee restaurant names in central New York has been on site twice. They are looking at being our development partner on a big part of this project, and they want front and center at the site, and they themselves will have more than 100 employees. So we don't ask lightly. We don't think a residential project should ask for something like that if it can't stand on its own, unless there's some historical preservation going on. We're asking based on the job creation and the community benefit.
And one last one I have for Steve Procopio here, codes. A PUD, when it's changed, the zoning's changed to a PUD. How long is that? How long do they have to fulfill their obligation on the project? Can that go for as much as the planning board recommends, or is there a certain stipulation of time?
I think what the ordinance currently says is the development phases of the development are completed within 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Next. Thank you.
I actually have a lot of questions. I think most of them are premature at this point. Two things really. One, You talk about a village center, we talk about a pier. I'm assuming people having access to the lake, you want to restore that, et cetera. I saw the pictures, the renderings. I know they're just proposals. I see, a craft fair or something with the booths. And I see there's parking. You got retail, you got restaurants, et cetera there. Is there sufficient public parking for a craft fair for people to access the water and also for people to patronize these businesses?
Yeah, yes. So
I mean, I can't see every spot. I'm a little bit skeptical based on this. I know it's a preliminary rendering, but you've already, I assume, have you accounted for that or considered that?
we certainly have. In fact,
Okay.
talking about the traffic discussion, the DEC discussion, we have pre-addressed. We've tried to pre-address every question. And the reason why we hired QPK and CHA is because they have a planning expertise. QPK, the inner harbor, hopefully it finally starts to take off. That design was executed with all those ideas in mind. So you see there are a lot of places where there's space for overflow parking within the project. No matter what we do for future asks for development, it is self-destructive for us to not be able to have adequate parking for the project. So that has been you will see through this process that we have addressed that, and we will be able to meet it. I will tell you that it actually is a pretty scientific thing, but for us to be able to lease our shop space, and for us to be able to keep our spaces leased and keep our condos sold and keep all those people happy, you have to have adequate parking, because if you don't, then I'm going to be the one holding the bag at the end of the day first, right? So before you ever can get some of these tenants to look or these brokers to look, the first question they have is, what's the parking look like? Now, they're rational. They realize that at 1:30 or 2 o'clock in the morning, you don't have to have adequate parking for them if everybody's now home, parked their car to go to bed at night. And they also know that at 7:30 in the morning, their nighttime restaurant doesn't need parking. So there's some sharing that goes on, but we better be able to illustrate to especially these restaurant users that there's adequate parking.
Well, I'm going to guess,
And-
I can interrupt, John. I'm going
Sure.
to guess through the planning procedure that there's requirements for parking.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the things, obviously this being conceptual, we're more dealing with square footages and generic unit counts based on square footages, but believe that the site up here can support between 900 and 1,000 parking spaces. And as we get into more of the details with specific unit counts and specific square foot allocations for things like retail and the hotel keys that we have, et cetera, we will be providing sort of that zoning summary table that can outline what parking goes with what use.
Could this sustain itself if you didn't have the parking garage?
We would have to look at surface parking in some of the green space, large areas. So yes, we would have to downsize.
I'm just asking because I know some people are concerned about losing their view of the lake.
There are about 4 or 5 houses that could lose their view of the lake, and I'm going to have discussions with those 4 or 5 homeowners.
Okay.
Just right. And I understand requirements for residential for parking. So I know we've changed the statute on that in this town, and I understand requirements for parking, square footage, restaurants, different uses. I guess my concern again was not allocating for that, but ensuring that there would also be sufficient parking for the members of the public who are not there to patronize the businesses, but instead to enjoy access to the lake. Because I would hate to hear, oh yeah, it's great down there if you can find a parking space, because basically the retail and the restaurants and everything eat up all the available parking. So in one of those renderings, the same one that had the tents for craft fair or whatever, there was angled on-street parking. So is that something that's planned as well, in addition to the lots that we're seeing is on-street parking?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
One other thing I'll add, so even at the country club, right, there are events. We've had 4th of July events in the past where programmatically, just like at any major venue, programmatically, there will be times during the course of the year when you have to look at what else is going on. Like, for example, is the Cicero North Syracuse going to be hosting sectionals at the high school? So you can't make a deal with the high school on a Saturday for an event to be able to shuttle people back and forth, right? So that programming has to be done with a plan. So there will be times of the year when there is shuttling to and from the site, but that'll be programmed, and a failure of that will cause those events to fail. So from a monetization perspective, we are all for making sure, and even at the little Lakeshore Country Club project, they do a pretty good job of interfacing with Lakeshore Elementary, the other elementary schools, slipping my mind, the name up there, Lakeshore right by 31. Cicero, yeah, elementary, and then CNS High School, right? Those all have to be coordinated with, and what event do you have going on? If not, can we rent your parking? So
Okay.
on a Saturday.
The other question, and again, I'll have more as this goes on. And I know you have a traffic study, which we haven't seen yet, which always seems to say there's never going to be a problem with the traffic. But traffic is going to be a major concern. You've been around Cicero long enough to know that. And anyone who's driven on Lakeshore knows that there's not much we can do about Lakeshore. Has there been, or will there potentially be any discussion with the county about a widening of some or all of South Bay?
So I will tell you that yes. So I've talked to the county before I have a friendship with the county DOT commissioner, so he's recused himself from this. But I did have a discussion with him prior to him, and I said, "You guys have to do something with South Bay Road, come what may." And he said, "We know that, right?" And the county knows that there's going to be some things that have to be done with South Bay Road, not only because of us, but because for good or for ill, that whole Lakeshore Road corridor, there's a lot of commercial real estate there, and there's probably going to be the chip fab, which means forget us. There's going to be all that vacant real estate up and down that road is going to either get developed or you're going to have a tax-based problem. If it's developed intelligently so that you get the right kind of expansion. And this is the thing I'll also say to you, that density is always a town's friend. And you know that because density, somebody said to me, "Are you going to have an HOA?" Maybe, hopefully for you, because if I have an HOA, you don't have to do anything but collect taxes. You don't have to worry about fire safety, health and safety. That's it. So we have to pay into that. And then we have to pay our school taxes, and we have to pay most of the property taxes. It is a winner for every town. And that's why in the Southeast United States, where they have much more successful municipalities, they love those kinds of projects. They have minimal, you have towns 10 times the size of Cicero that have smaller staffs in some of these Southeast cities because the services, they just don't have to do it because all the HOAs have to do it themselves. And I'm not sitting here pitching an HOA so much as I'm saying density is your friend, because if you've got 500 units in a 20-acre space rather than 35 units in a 20-acre space in a serpentine development project subdivision, which people by right can do, those are the things that are killing these towns. One of the best things Joni Mahoney ever did was say, we got to stop this until we could take a pause and look at it, because we have all these low density subdivisions. Syracuse is 10 years behind the rest of the country. I hate to say that as a real estate developer when there's moratoriums against things, but sometimes they do need to happen, and density is a good thing.
And I'll add too, in terms of the traffic study, that this one doesn't show no impact. It shows that there is impacts. It shows that there will be traffic coming from 81. There'll be traffic coming from the east. There's going to be mitigation that's required to support the project. It includes traffic signals and things like you said, even signal timing up and down the 31 corridor, but also additional signals, along with obviously a signal at the intersection with Lakeshore Drive here. So there's a lot to be done in order to support a project like this. For sure.
There's a first time for everything.
Yep.
So thank you.
No, go ahead. Bill? All right, I'll make mine short. How many apartments total?
So with what we've shown on the plan, and again, this is square footage, so it's just a kind of a general, square footage calculation with the floor areas that we have. It's about 200 single family homes between the single family homes and the townhomes, and then about 400 apartments and condos within the entire complex.
So we had a unit count discussion just about 1 week ago, and we eliminated almost all, when I say, actually, I think we eliminated all, there was some studio apartments. We eliminated all of those. We increased our two, and we replaced them with 2 and 3 bedroom units, and we decreased our 1 bedroom unit count. So our unit counts, so it's going to be a good kind of density too, because it'll be larger and with the exception, and by the way, when I say market rate, even our market rate will be market luxury. You have a market rate project down the street, it's 248 units. Everybody's got their opinion on it. I don't have one. God bless them. That's market rate apartments. They're small unit size. They are high density. They're doing what they're doing. Our project is going to be a little bit different, a little more upscale. We look at the town of Cicero and we looked at demographics, and we can't believe that there's a misconception that we are in a lower middle class sector of the county, because we're not. So we're going to build to what is being asked for out here. That means high density in unit count, but then somewhat lower density in how we're mixing the units. There'll be a lot of 2s, a good number of 3s, some big penthouse units. So that number could even drop a little. But if you, to use an example of LoSo up the street, we would be more like 500 or 600 instead of what we're telling you.
And then I had one more. The type of businesses that you're looking to have come in. I'd just like to hear a little bit more about that.
Our focus is going to be on local artisan type tenants, without naming names. Imagine if you go to Fayetteville or you go to Cazenovia and you go to dinner at one of the nice restaurants. Imagine if you walk down the street in Skaneateles and you go in Roland's. I don't know if you know Roland's, but it's like it's like a clothing store with cool hiking stuff and some work clothes, but nice, small. Probably we'll have a chandlery or like a ship store. Small pubs, like upscale kind of pubs, like for example, the Lake House pub in Skaneateles. So when you think of our mix, I would probably steer you toward thinking of the village of Cazenovia or the village of Skaneateles, those kinds of tenants. We will be trying to get a local grocer to do something in that space with a small outlet of some sort. Maybe a small liquor store with like high-end wines and spirits, that kind of thing. But yeah, like not vape shops, for example, not, we're not trying to, we're trying to have a place where you want to bring your family and go hang out on a Saturday, take the kids, maybe fish off the pier a little bit. And yes, you said something about making sure you have enough parking for people who just want to go hang out at the pier. Absolutely. Yes. Walk around and look at the big boats. We're on the Great Loop. We have almost 5,000 yachts every year go through this county, and they only stop at Winter Harbor or 43 North to get serviced. We want them to stop here, not because we're going to monetize that. We want people to have the enjoyment of being able to go look at a big boat. It's cool. It's fun. I like to do it. A lot of people like to do that. But at that same time, many of those people are going to decide that on a budget, they can get a meal for them and their family. If they're not on a budget, they can get a meal for them and their family, And so we're trying to create, that's the environment we want to create.
So the jobs will be retail type jobs.
Restaurant, retail, maybe, there could be like a tax office in there. There could be some medical uses in there. But a lot of them would be proprietary. Like, for example, a boutique, a clothing boutique. That's going to be the owner. Will probably be there almost every day, and then have a couple of employees, 2 or 3 employees in that boutique. So you'll have a lot of owner operated businesses.
And how many businesses do you think about bringing in again?
So right now we're showing about 70,000 square feet of shop space currently in the existing village area. I believe that if the project goes ahead, that you'll see further development off of our site that will naturally, and I would recommend that you do an overlay district so that if somebody wants to build on South Bay Road, for example, they either have to build up on the road or they have to build a project interior that's going to be built new urbanistically. I would do an overlay district. I would do it right away. Like, so that you can continue that. Only other thing I'll say about traffic is a practical statement. We are very fortunate that we are east of South Bay Road, east of or on South Bay Road or accessible to South Bay Road. As soon as you go west of South Bay Road, you know, our traffic engineer said being east of South Bay Road makes this a lot easier. You signalize, we know we're going to have to do signalization. I mean, we know we're going to have to do some of these things. We're not going to sit here and say to you, we shouldn't say, I'm going to say to you that we should be flashing like on a Tuesday afternoon, you know, I think that's what the traffic engineer will recommend, but you'll have signalized intersections. I think the county has to do something to widen South Bay at Lakeshore Road now. Like, certainly they are going to need to do it with all the new development that's happening. How will so happen without South Bay Road getting addressed? I don't know. You know?
Hi. I have, I think, more comments rather than questions. These guys all had the good questions already. My husband and I went to Cooperstown last weekend. And that's exactly what we did. We parked at a lot, municipal lot. We got on the trolley, took us right down, dropped us right off in front of the Hall of Fame. We did the Hall of Fame. We came out. We walked up and down the streets. We went in and out of the shops. When we were done, we got back on the trolley, took us back to our car. Not a problem with traffic. So I kind of just wanted to say that so that people don't think he's crazy by saying using the different lots. It works fantastic. It was like $2 to ride it both ways. But we didn't have to park. We didn't have to worry about going back out 2 hours later and putting more money in the meter. It was wonderful.
The thing I would add to you that we're not talking about tonight, but this will be a golf cart community, which is make it also a bicycle community, so that the residents won't have to get in their car and drive and park in the village, because some people aren't going to want to walk. Although we designed it so that it's the same. It's a very short walk, even for the estate houses in the very far back of the site. It is not a crazy walk. Maybe in January. The other thing we talked about is a tram system. Troon, so part of the reason we hired Troon is because they manage communities like this all over the world, and they talk about all that kind of stuff. And the good news with all that stuff is it monetizes. It helps us, helps the tenants in the project monetize.
Right. So and I'm not saying that I'm all for this. This is the best thing in the world. I would love to see Cicero have a place where you can go and walk and go to a shop and not have to get in your car and then drive to the next parking lot and then go in and shop. It would be an ideal kind of thing, I think, for the town. Again, there's a lot of questions, a lot of things to come up about it, but I just hope people think of it in those terms also, not just, oh, traffic's going to be horrible. You know, it would be nice, you know, your grandkids come up or, you know, your brothers come to visit. You've got a place to take them that's local. Or you can go and do this. You can go to the restaurant. You can go back to the lake. You can do whatever you want. Again, just trying to be optimistic as opposed to, no, we can't do this. But yeah, there'll be a lot more questions and a lot of things to go over and to consider, but it's a nice plan. Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you much.
I'll just ask real quick, how many rooms is in the hotel?
So we haven't finalized the deal with the hotel partner, so we're saying 90 to 120 keys. I don't know that exact number yet. So that's a good question, and I can't answer it yet because I don't have it. I think as this process goes, we will unveil a hotel partner and a flag and all that.
On your master plan of the layout, do you have any plans or have you thought about having any access directly to South Bay Road, to that back part of the project?
So this PUD application doesn't address other lands that we have acquired to the south of the project because we haven't
This one here.
finalized those, but
Have you looked at all into the possibility if,
I thought if I'm
so
not
we don't,
mistaken,
yeah.
property that came out this way where my pointer is up here. Isn't there a possibility of a road going through here all the way to Route 31?
So yes, so what I think one of the things you'll probably see in our next meeting will be a stub for a road to run to the south at some point in the future to get us all the way to 31 from the project. The other thing I'd say is we currently unfortunately don't control the real estate on South Bay Road. And I don't control it. So as of today, there's not a conversation to have about it. But if I did, I'd certainly want to get direct access to South Bay. Yeah.
just, I mean, traffic is going to be a major conversation piece in this, and I think you guys know that.
We do.
Are we able to take a look at the traffic study or?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Can you get that to us?
I said that and I said some of my comments because I personally just got it, I think yesterday, and we forwarded
Yeah.
it to the DOT. So we will, we can provide it separately, but maybe it makes more sense to package up.
If you
the
could,
application and get it.
I'd appreciate that to see it. This is the first time in my 3 years involvement on the town, either planning board or town board here, that I've heard a traffic study come back saying it's going to have an impact. So I'm glad to see that they're going in depth with their study on that. And that I assume goes all the way down Lakeshore to 31
It
on
goes all
each
the way-
end, right? The
it goes all
entire
way
length
to
of Lakeshore.
31 and 81 in terms of signal timing changes. There's existing signals that, they're. And it goes, yeah, it comes up to
Yeah.
Lakeshore in 31 and then it goes all the way down to South Bay in 31. So it was a very broad study that had to capture all the ways to get physically to the site.
Yeah, I mean, it's you both ends of Lakeshore there, it's such a narrow road and you can't widen it. So you're really only looking at either Cicero Center or South Bay to get access to it, which is why I ask about access to either South Bay or down to Route 31 directly
And
back.
so what, serious conversation has been, I think, generally, again, due to the LoSo project, due to all the other things that are coming on to the area, as South Bay, as the intersection at South Bay and 31, we were on a conference call with the state DOT. And this was one of the most frustrating things I ever heard. The state DOT person, I won't name names in order to protect the innocent or not so innocent, but they said, well, we're going to have to, we're going to redo that whole intersection anyway. And I'm like, well, can you tell somebody besides me on a conference call? Like, can you tell anybody? But this is, and I've had conversations with people about bad communication, and it blows my mind. In my job, I'm hammering everybody. If people don't think I'm a pest, then I'm not doing my job right. Right. But I can see these different government agencies just not communicating. And I could not imagine how frustrating that must be for you. But South Bay Road becoming better will cause everybody to want to use it. It was built as a feeder. That was the point of it, is literally exists because it was a feeder road to the city of Syracuse and a trolley line at one time. Probably should still have that too, but what do I know?
Well, I see things like this, especially with restaurants and stuff, and it is exciting to see the possibility of something like that. Now that Boreo's is closed, there's nothing on the south side of the lake. And the lakefront is so underutilized in terms of where it is. I know there's a lot of questions with this and we're very early on, and I live down Lakeshore that way, and I like it quiet. I like being there. I know the neighbors that are around there like it too. So I think just to comment on your part, and I know you mentioned this earlier, there's going to have to be a lot of conversation with the neighboring neighborhoods right adjacent to this.
Yeah. And one of the conversations I'll have with the neighborhoods is I'll say, if you go to Skaneateles or you go to Cazenovia and you live on a block that feeds Albany Street in Cazenovia, or on a block that feeds Route 5 in Skaneateles, I mean, you can be two houses up and it's quiet. We have the benefit of planning and modernity on our side. We can think about things like positioning our buildings, and if we have an event, positioning music so it goes out onto the lake. Somebody in Oswego County is going to complain about noise before somebody in the neighborhood is. And we don't care about the people in Oswego County, do we? I'm just kidding. No, but seriously, in all seriousness, when you plan the project and you look at the reason where we placed the hotel, for example, everything is thought about as far as that goes, because and you look at some of those other, like I said, you look at some of those other communities like Skinny Atlas or Fayetteville, people are walking down into the village from a very quiet spot off the main street.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll move on to discussion and then we'll open up to public input. Discussion tonight. Police calls January 1 to June 30th in 2021. There were 9,910 calls, and in 2022, there are 9,972 calls. In 2021, there were 151 arrests. In 2022, there's 195 arrests. In 2021, there were 256 reports written and 272 accident reports written. As of this time, there are 313 reports written and 318 accident reports written. Thank you, Chief. One thing I'd like to say about hiring and our employees, I think the board should look into, and I talked to Counselor Carp a little bit about this. When we hire our employees, full-time employees or our permanent part-time employees, I think it would be nice to invite the person we're going to hire to the board, at least at the end of the meeting. First, we can introduce ourselves, and there's quite a little bit disconnect sometimes between all of us in different departments. So it'd be nice to introduce ourselves to the new member, a meet and greet type thing. So that's one of the things I'd like to implement. And the other one was the comprehensive plan we talked about actually before I got here. We decided we wanted to hold off for a little while until we got this chip fab. And we wanted to find out what's going to happen with that. But I believe, it's just my personal opinion, if this plant and this doesn't happen by August 10th, with the state and their bill to pass the Build Back Better bill, I'm not quite sure this is really even going to happen. But I think we should wait till at least then to discuss this comprehensive plan. Board. Okay. Anybody else?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So I just wanted to give an update on mosquitoes. So I have 3 bids out. I've received 2 bids back. It's for all natural mosquito spray. I'll give it to the board, and if you so choose to do it.
This is in the park for Central Park, correct?
Central Park. Correct.
Okay. Anyone else? We'll open up the public input. Would anybody like to speak tonight? Come on up and give us you want to let them hold the microphone, Steve, instead,
Use the one that's being, yeah.
and state your name and your address, please.
Okay. My name is Jackie Forte. I live at 8842 Seneca Avenue in Cicero, where I've lived for about 25 years now. And I've grown up in North Syracuse, which is actually a village right here. So I came out to say hi to Guy Hard. Are you still here? Did he leave? Because I am one of the neighbors that lives on that little red dashed line on the edge of the parking garage. And I am definitely one of the 4 houses that he was talking about talking to. I've never met him and I've never talked to him, because I have an 11-foot by 4-foot bay window that overlooks the first tee to the golf course. And it will now, I believe, overlook that parking garage. However, if his presentation comes out as amazing as he said that it will, I could have one of the most valuable houses in Cicero, and I would be thrilled, because I'm 58 years old. And when I retire, I could probably sell it for more than I could have possibly imagined. But I love my neighborhood and I love my neighbors. So I came to talk to you for a few things regarding this project. I've been watching it for ages, and I've been watching them do work over there on Saturdays a lot with the land that they're not supposed to be doing, clearing stumps and moving dirt, when nobody can be called at the town to say, hey, because you're not here. And by the time we call on Monday, the damage is already done. To make a side comment so that you are aware of some of the things that he was saying. I'm also the president of the North Syracuse Education Foundation, which is a nonprofit that raises money for the school district for programs not funded through the budget. And I've been that for over 10 years. North Syracuse as a district has 41% economically disadvantaged kids. Cicero North Syracuse High School has 36% economically disadvantaged. Cicero L has 28% and Lakeshore has 36%. If you contrast that to Skaneateles, they have 13% disadvantaged students and FM has 16%. So we do not live right now in the affluent community that he refers to us as. And I know that for a fact because I work in our schools on projects to help those type of kids every single day. And the use of the parking lots, Nancy, for overflow is not guaranteed in the school district. They had a fireworks event over at the yacht club when he first bought the yacht club, where he charged admission, not disclosing that to the school district. The school district allowed him to shuttle people to some of the parking lots near there. And when they found out that it was a for-profit event and not everyone was open to go to that event, they were very upset because it's a huge liability to the district to allow that to be used. And it was also advertised as this public event that it didn't really end up being. So just wanted to put that out there on the idea of the school, the community and whatnot. I didn't like the use of the term urbanistic because we don't live in an urban area. We live in a suburb. And in some parts of our community, you could even say it's rural. Right down South Bay Road, there's Williams Farm. There's still a lot of farmland around here. I'm not against progress, and it would be kind of cool to live in a really neat area like that and just be able to walk over at night. But I'm definitely concerned about the parking, like you said, Jonathan. And I'm also very concerned about the parking garage. I was part of a project over at Sacred Heart Church where we built a small adoration chapel. And we learned this week that that chapel in our entire church has to be locked now instead of being open to the public because people are just walking in and sleeping in there and camping out in there. I also am employed by a company in downtown Syracuse. I don't work downtown right now. I work remotely, but when I did, going into the parking garage could often be a very scary thing because homeless people start going in there to find a place to sleep. And I don't know what that would ultimately bring out our way, but I think that that's something that we should be concerned about. I also think that on top of all that, we do have to look at a lot of things. You asked some really good questions tonight, Mike Argano, about funding. And he did a really good job of avoiding those because he didn't really confirm that he has any solid funding. Definitely the width of the roads is an issue. Seneca Avenue, which is that little red dot going towards the lake, is barely 2 cars wide. I drive a Chevy Tahoe. My neighbors back here drive trucks. When we pass each other on the road, leaving no place for anybody to walk, we almost touch mirrors. I literally will put my mirrors in so that we don't hit each other. Right now, too, we have golf carts that whiz up and down our street during tournaments, which are not supposed to be on the road. And if he's saying this is going to be a golf cart neighborhood, they have to be golf carts that have lights and working horns and things like that. They can't just be whizzing around. So I don't know what that's going to look like. The overall resources you guys all touched on, I thought that was very justified. Wondering if there's going to be enough money to fund this and is it already secured? That wasn't answered. When we bought into the reassessment of the town, my taxes went up quite a bit because I was classified as a waterfront community now. So I'm curious what this will do. And then will the property values go up? Won't they? I don't know, but I'm definitely curious about that. I'm also curious because you guys started a few years back, I believe, to plan for the town comprehensive plan. And just, you don't have to answer this now, obviously, but is that still going on? And wouldn't it be nice if you could coordinate that comprehensive plan, if that's still something that you're doing in with something like this? Because you're basically talking about maybe moving the center of the town from what usually would be like 31 and 11 all the way out to the lake. maybe you should have more people working with them. I don't know. The 5 years that you mentioned, Steve, about this would be 5 years to complete. He mentioned when he was talking, Guy Hart, that he thought it would take 7 to 10. That's a little concerning too. And I don't know about anyone else, but when I think of a quaint village like Skinny Atlas or Cazenovia or any of those kind of places, they don't look like what I saw there. That looked to me more like modern commercial. So maybe they could make it look more like quaint village in just the style of the outside of the buildings, because to me it looked more like a modern commercial area. I would like to definitely know how high all those buildings were going to be. I looked up there and I saw 4 stories. Is that okay? Is that going to block everybody's view of the lake as they drive down Lakeshore Road? I'm also concerned with the way that the traffic from South Bay comes into the road there. People fly through that stop sign all the time. And if you're going to have another entrance from another road coming across, that's definitely something to be concerned about. I also have heard that he's secured land behind Lombardi that goes all the way to Route 31. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I've heard. And so he may not have access to South Bay Road because people aren't willing to sell their property to him at this point, but he definitely has access to 31. So I think as a town board, you need to be concerned as far as, you know, what rolls on after this? What does this look like after that little piece is finished, and how far does it go on? I would also say that I am a person who believes that if you own a piece of property, you have a right to develop your property. So I don't want to stand here today and say, I think this is going to be this way forever. But we also on our road right now off Lakeshore have that Strobel Marina property getting going, and that's not even done yet. So we don't really know the true impact of those apartments. And then Mike Bragman just went before you guys, I believe on the 6th of July with that Horner Farmstead project that's going to possibly feed into Lakeshore. So we have a lot going on in our little part of the community, and I would just ask that everybody do their best to keep the community members informed. People like myself and my neighbors who've lived on that block for many, many years would be here to support our voice and make sure that we do something that works well for everybody. And I would love to meet with Mr. Hart. I have never met him personally. I know that there's a house diagonal across the street from me that he secured from one of my neighbors years ago. And his father lives there in the good weather, and all sorts of people come in and out of there during the bad. He's definitely a man with vision. He's definitely a man who's very intelligent. He's definitely a man who knows how to persuade people. I'm in sales, and if I was hiring someone, I would hire him in a heartbeat. But that doesn't mean that he's necessarily going to be doing what's in the best interest of our community. Thanks.
Thank you. Who's up next? Who would like to speak next? I saw a hand back there. She covered it all. You did a nice job. Sure, come on up. Good evening.
I'm Sam Anderson. I live at 8929 Superior Ave. I'm one of.
Use the mic, Sam,
Oh,
please.
Thank you. That better?
Yep, thank you.
I'm one of Jackie's neighbors. And as we sat here tonight, I just made some notes. I wasn't quite as prepared as she was because I didn't quite know what to expect. But I did jot down some things in 3 paragraphs. That's it. I'd like to you guys
Sure.
to consider. I don't wish to see my neighborhood transition to a beehive city type of village environment. From a quality of life perspective, I strongly disagree with the developer representative, Mr. Hart's contention that density is your friend. It represents an unpleasant hurry and wait, push and shove, noise-ridden existence for one and one's neighbors. Admitting that we currently have westward bound area traffic issues now, the subject developer's rep seems to think that it would be acceptable to funnel the proposed project area's current and eventual added travelers south along South Bay Road. How convenient of him to completely dismiss our likely desire to head west and the fact that this project will further congest our westward efforts. He seems to want to send everybody south. Well, we might want to go west, and this thing's just going to congest it even more. With regard to the proposed waterways on the south side of Lakeshore Road that we saw up here, I see them as fingers. I see no effective means within the current design to ensure that these waterways will not quickly become relatively stagnant backwaters, thus more mosquito issues. If you look at them, you go up there and they end. It's still stagnant. Don't flow that I can see things. I found many of the representatives' comments to be very questionable, and with regard to what we want, often quite inaccurate. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Would anyone else like to speak tonight? Welcome, Judy.
Good evening, everyone. Obviously, this project was before me when I was on the board. And it's distressing. First of all, what was presented to all of us appears to be a project in Miami or Boca or wherever. To Ms. Forte's statement, Skaneateles is a nice town, a nice walking town. Casanova is. It appears that Cicero would become the town of Lakeshore Jacob, because there would be no town of Cicero. The fact is, we do have a village, and I would be upset if I was in the town of Clay, because Clay also has a village. They share our village. A couple of comments, and I won't belabor on a lot of this. Oneida Lake is in Oswego County. It does not belong to anyone. It's also in the town of Constantia as far as tax purposes. So I know that for a fact because a couple of individuals in the town of Cicero pay taxes in Constantia. Also, he never mentioned anything about the golf course. Is the golf course going to be gone?
He mentioned that he's going to move it in phases as he develops this.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't hear that
And
part.
the land behind.
Behind it, he's already purchased. Also, I'm sorry, he upset me, so. I just feel that I know that there will be Indian artifacts. If there needs to be an Indian artifact study done on that property. We're talking about flood issues because it isn't a floodplain. As far as the Bridgeport project goes, that was a marina, it was Fisher Bay Marina. And that dredging was done. I can't say above board because the original was not. And as a matter of fact, when that project was put in, there was no sewers even over there. There was nothing. So there was an issue with it. So that's not even a good reference. As far as our taxes goes, the only revenue that we would ever receive from this would be our town tax. And if he goes for a pilot, that'll go right out the window as well. The sales tax all goes to the county. So what revenue will we really have created for the town residents who are going to be impacted by the traffic? Nothing is mentioned about, as we all call it, the gut, which is under 81 Bridge. For God's sakes, how many more cars can we jam under there? In the state, you know, he has Mr. Hart has all these wonderful words and traffic studies. We cannot put another 1,000 2,000, how many cars under there? So with that, I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak tonight? With that being said, get a motion to close the meeting?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all for coming tonight.